Welcome to the finale of Gravity Circuit. You know what, Pat? I'm starting to get used to you filling in for Colonel. Last time on Gravity Circuit, we completed Arc Stages 1 and 2, where the most notable thing that we did besides a boss rush was that we reunited with Nega, who informed us of our legacy. In addition, after clearing Arc Stage 2, we finally got the last missable data chip. So, 100%ing the data chips is now guaranteed. This time around, get hype, because it's time for the finale. We're not going to be wasting any time either. We're going to be heading straight into Arc Stage 3. We're going to find Colonel, defeat whoever's commanding the virus army, and we're going to save the day. Just like before, I recommend going into this Arc Stage with your favorite gear, upgrades, etc. You might also want to grab some snacks too, because just like the last episode, this one's going to be a bit longer than usual. Looks like this is it. Master Kai, sir. It is now or never, or something terrible is bound to happen. We have no clue what's waiting for you in there, but I hope for your safe return.
Don't worry about me, Pat. I'll trust the HQ to you.
I won't let you down, Master Kai, sir. Transfer to this location? Roger! Prepare for transfer! This time around, the final stage has 2 achievements. The first is to avoid the final boss's grab attacks during Phase 1, and the second is to not get crushed underneath the final boss's hands during Phase 2. Now, the first thing you're going to be seeing with Arc Stage 3 is that you're going to be seeing a lot of these purple switches that control these hydraulic presses. You're going to want to familiarize yourself with these because they are going to be all over Arc Stage 3. We're going to be seeing quite a few instances where they're going to impede our progress and others where they help us.
Ah, glad to see you made it, Gravity Circuit. Your target lies down below, behind these security gates. We'll need to work together to unlock them. Pick a side. I'll handle the other. Good luck.
Here's where we come across the main gimmick of Arc Stage 3. So, it's mainly going to be a straight shot downward further into the depths of the arc. However, we've got a series of branching paths that we need to complete in order to unlock the gates. Nega will be handling the path that we choose not to go with, which from both a level design standpoint, as well as a storytelling standpoint, I love that. Nega deciding to help us out shows just how much our success means to him, as well as just how high the stakes are. I will be showing off each path that you can take, which is going to factor into why this episode's going to be a bit on the longer side. But my reason for this is so that way you can determine which path you would rather take, because some are easier than others. For the first set of branching paths, we have what I'm going to be calling the purple area. Taking the right path, if you ask me, is the easier because all you gotta manage is those hydraulic presses. However, if you were to take the left path, I think this one is a little bit trickier. The left path has us having to deal with a lot more bottomless pits as well as sinking platforms over those bottomless pits. The hydraulic presses here also work mainly against us because there's a lot of these laser traps that you need to look out for, and if activated, they cause the hydraulic presses to lower in rather inconvenient places, or places where they even just straight up impede your progress unless you use these purple switches to reset them. As a matter of fact, I'm going to intentionally walk into one in a second just to show what I mean. So you see how that press to our right has lowered? We now can't take that path unless we head over to the switch and reset it. And now it's gone. There's another one coming up soon too, where if we hadn't pressed that switch, right here actually, there would be 2 blocking us from exiting this area. Still fairly tame overall. Neither is really that difficult though. If you want my recommendation, I feel as though taking the right path is easier. Next up, we have the green area, which is going to be full of spikes. There's your warning ahead of time. We've got a couple of enemy placements here, but nothing really that's that big of a deal. It's just a small little segment before reuniting with Nega. Starting off, we're going to be going with the right path. Now, if you ask me, I feel as though taking the right path is once again the easier one, despite it being quite full of spikes, as well as these teleportals, we'll call them. I like that name. Now, thankfully, they're not going to be trying to confuse us by throwing a lot of teleportals at us. There's only going to be a handful of them, and it's going to be very clear where they're going to be taking you. The main obstacle I'd say you need to look out for besides the spikes is these coolant dispensers. You may remember these from Blade Stage. They're once again going to be all over the place, but thankfully they don't blend in with the level as well as they did in Blade Stage. They're also quite easy to just run right past, so you don't really even need to stop to deal with them. You can just very easily run right past them. And it's because of that reason that I think the right path for the green area is the easier of the two, because it's mainly just a bunch of vertical climbing. As you can see, we've already reached the end. Now, the left path, if you ask me, is actually the one that I think is more fun, but it's definitely the more difficult of the two. So once again, the teleportals are not something you really need to worry about. They're not going to be trying to confuse you with those. What you need to worry about is those annoying spike blocks from Medley Stage. They're going to be colored green this time, but they are back with a vengeance. In addition, this area is also going to be filled with block bonkers, is I believe what they're called. They're those blue spiky enemies that fly around back and forth. These guys. Your main obstacle for the left path, however, is going to be those green spike blocks. You're going to be needing to move really fast so that way you don't get hit by them. That said, if you're quick on your feet, you might find the left path to be quite a bit fun, like I do. You might also find it to be a little bit faster than taking the right path, though I still think the right path is easier. Next up, we have the orange area. And this area is going to be a little bit tougher because we're going to be seeing the return of the explosive canisters from Ray Stage as well as those mines from Blade Stage. Unfortunately, we're going to have to sort of pick our poison here because both paths include having to deal with one of those two obstacles. So starting off with the right path here, we're going to have to mainly deal with the explosive canisters, which I believe is the better option of the two. I feel the right path is once again the easier one. That said, however, unfortunately, the right path is also the slower of the two, which is the reason why I prefer to take the left path instead, because it's quicker. So as you're seeing, what makes the right path quite a bit slower is that we've got a lot of canisters, especially the explosive ones, in our way, and this means we're going to have to be doing a lot of waiting. The mech suit helps in speeding things up, but not by much. You've also got a lot of these platforms that disappear when you stand on them for too long. I believe these first appeared in Crash's stage. These make losing the mech suit very easy. In fact, I think you're going to see me lose it in just a minute. Yeah, right here. Now, thankfully, losing the mech suit isn't really much of a loss at all. If anything, we're probably going to be going through here just a teeny bit faster now that we're going on foot. The only thing is that these explosive canisters are going to still keep us waiting for a second. That said, the right path is definitely the easier path to take and the one I recommend you would take, because the left path can actually be kind of hard. The reason I don't like taking the right path is just because I'm impatient. I like to keep moving, and so having to wait for those canisters just has me go like, Now for the left path. Thankfully, we're not going to have to deal with very many of those explosive canisters. Instead, this area is going to have us dealing with those explosive mines from Blade Stage. In addition, this area is also pretty heavy on the hookshot swinging, so if you're not very good at that, this area is definitely not for you. That said, this is definitely my preferred path to take because it's 100% quicker than going the right path, and once again, I'm impatient. The enemy placement for the left path is honestly quite tame if you ask me. The main difficulty comes in from all the hookshot swinging. I think even the mines aren't really that big of a deal. It's the hookshot swinging, like, for example, you gotta pull off moves like this. There's also this surprisingly tough jump that you're gonna see me pull off in just a second as well. The way you want to do this jump is that there's going to be this mine that you're going to want to bounce off of so that you can grab this long vertical platform with your hookshot. You then want to carefully jump onto the side of it so that you can jump over this laser trap. You then want to slide down and bounce off of this second mine, or use the double jump to get to this platform here. The challenge mainly comes in grabbing onto that long vertical platform with your hookshot, as well as avoiding that laser trap. It can be rather tough, and that's why I'd say the left path is quite a bit more difficult. Finally, we have the blue area, and regardless of which path you decide to take, the blue area is going to have us deal with those disappearing blocks from Crash's stage. Now, would you care to guess which route is the easier of the two? It's the right. Yep. If you're playing this stage, I recommend that you just stick to the right paths, because they all seem to be the easier ones. Now, what makes the right path of the blue area the easier of the two is the fact that though you'll be dealing with those disappearing blocks, they'll mostly just be that, blocks. This path will not be throwing very many of those disappearing spike blocks at you, especially not as many as compared to the left path. Besides that, what you'll mainly have to be dealing with is those floating vertical platforms, but with Air Jumper, they're not really that much of a problem, so the platforming isn't really even that tough if you ask me. So as long as you keep an eye out for those disappearing spike blocks which you can punch or attack in some other way to have them disappear for a short time, you'll be fine. So like for instance here, all you gotta do is hang on the side of this vertical platform to avoid the spikes. Alternatively, you can stand on the platform and just punch the spikes away. That is something you can do if you want. But my point still stands. The obstacles here are pretty easy to avoid, which is more than what I can say for the left path, which we'll be seeing next. Now for the left path, it's the other way around. There is no floating vertical platforms, but this area is littered with these disappearing spike blocks. These things, by the way, if you're using hardware barrier, ignore it, so keep that in mind as well. If for whatever reason you really don't like those floating vertical platforms, maybe say for example they remind you too much of Mega Man X6, then maybe you'll prefer the left path, but personally, I don't really. I think this path is quite a bit more difficult and, at points, quite annoying even. That said, however, the three big things you're going to be encountering in this path are the junk bots from Trace's stage, the disappearing blocks and spike blocks, and normal spikes. The main way this path is going to work is that you're going to be spending a lot of time on those disappearing blocks while also having to clear a path for yourself by getting rid of those disappearing spike blocks. However, you gotta be fast because again, the floor below you is going to disappear soon, like for instance right here. You're gonna see after we get past these enemies though that this creates a little bit of a conundrum for us because you don't want to rush through this spot too quickly because you'll risk running into the spikes, but you also gotta kind of hurry it up so that way you can clear a path for yourself because the floor below you is again going to disappear. But with that said, that is every branching path in Arc Stage 3. This is also unfortunately as far as Nega will go. What comes next is up to us. The finale to Arc Stage 3 is just going to be a straight shot to the final boss. We're just going to have a few enemies standing in our way that we gotta clear out. Because of that, feel free to clean house. Let nothing stand in your way and just destroy everything in your path. Show the final boss that nothing's gonna stop you. Feel free to spam your burst techniques as much as you'd like too. You'll of course get your opportunity to fully restore your stats before confronting him. With the last line of defense being the two tankiest enemy types in the game, we're just going to make quick work of them and do one final epic pose before confronting the final boss. Before confronting him, I'm going to give you two very strong recommendations. The first is of course to fully heal yourself. The second is to consider equipping Nullifying Layer and Underflow Guard. They will quite potentially be your best friends for the final boss fight. But with that said, it's time to confront him.
Colonel!
Oh, is that you, Kai? We have been waiting for you.
We? The Ark. It's moving?
Yes, it is time for us to go. Gravity Circuit.
Go? Where? What are you doing with the Ark?
Oh, don't tell me you have forgotten who you really are, or our mission.
mission? Just who are you?
You hurt me, Gravity Circuit. Just like how the others did too.
You didn't answer my question.
Very well. I am Commander Circuit, the 10th Circuit of this arc.
The 10th Circuit?
Indeed. Each arc is given 10 circuits to govern over our great mission. The one entrusted to us by our esteemed masters. That is, until you 9 decided to abandon it all and bury me here with the Ark.
So, this is all in the name of revenge?
Precisely. We traveled together throughout space for many, many millennia. Claiming great many planets and shaping them to suit the needs of our masters. But once we arrived on this despicable, desolate rock, you all changed. You wanted to stay, abandon our mission. It was most illogical, absurd even. Instead of fulfilling your duty, you wanted to be worshipped by those pathetic, low-spec bots of all things. They are nothing but disposable workers, mere heaps of scrap. The Ark makes dozens of them automatically whenever we land. There is nothing special about them. They are just recycled trash. Why would you ever want or even need their worship? You even adopted common names like Kai and Cable. So to appear like benevolent masters to them. The Guardian Corps? It's all a sham. Absolutely disgusting. You simply wanted glory when our masters ignored you. All because you failed your duty. And worse yet, you modified the common bots to suppress my powers. Took me a fair while to hack and control this fool over here. But no matter. Once the Ark is in orbit, we can put this all behind us. Those puny bots will deactivate, leaving them to collect dust.
What? Deactivate? All of them?
The Ark, my body, maintains a planet-wide signal. Without it, common bots fall into sleep mode to await the arrival of our masters. And that's why you chose to bury me, to prevent the inevitable. But in your lunacy, you forgot to turn off my subsystems, allowing me to use my bot creation facilities without interference. Biding my time, I amassed an army of my own to destroy what you had built. With the element of surprise on my side, I was able to pick you out one by one. Soon, I had all circuits in my hands, except for one. You wretched gravity circuit. Even in defeat, your abilities allowed you to constantly escape my grasp. Eventually, I ran out of my soldiers to send after you. So, I had to rebuild my army. But this time, I brainwashed the other circuits to be on my side. They didn't obey my orders to find and bring you in. But no matter. With this bot's help, I could lure you in here.
Wait, lure me in? You wanted me to come here?
Yes, I need your circuit as per our programmed protocol. The Ark cannot take off to space without all circuits present. How lucky of me that you came here of your own accord. You couldn't have made this any easier for me.
No! You can't do this!
Oh, you still dare to oppose our great mission? Very well. I'll let this fool take care of you while I plot a course out of this system.
Kai, I will obey. Help.
Colonel! You must fight his influence!
I'm sorry. You will obey our masters. I can't. Forgive me. You will be stopped here, Kai.
That's right, everyone. Phase 1 of the final boss fight is fighting Colonel. Colonel can be an interesting boss to fight simply because he has no types of ranged attacks. He's limited only to melee attacks specifically. It's because of this reason that you don't want to stay close to Colonel for too long. My method of fighting him is similar to that of Nega. I keep my distance, let him do his thing, and go in for a couple of pot shots every now and then, mainly in between attacks. Once phase 2 of Colonel's fight has been initiated, Commander Circuit is going to start giving Colonel a shield to protect him. This shield is able to take a little bit of damage, I think roughly 5 hits, and Commander Circuit does restore it after some time has passed. Colonel himself doesn't behave much differently during phase 2. The two main differences in his behavior are that when he goes for that normal punch attack, he does it twice instead of once unless he hits a wall. When it comes to the shockwave attack he does it twice instead of once. Other than that, all of his other behaviors are the same. The best piece of advice I can give you when fighting Colonel is that whenever he jumps in the air to do that shockwave attack, jumping over him just as he lands is the most ideal time to dodge that move.
Thank you, Kai, for stopping me.
Colonel, save your energy. We'll get you fixed.
Oh, it is too late for me now. Please, stop the commander.
Colonel, no!
And thus it is with a heavy heart that I must say, rest in peace, Colonel. You will be missed. And avenged.
Very impressive. You really are as powerful as ever, Gravity Circuit.
You monster! I will never forgive you.
Looks like I will have to take matters into my own hands. You will not disobey the wishes of our masters.
This is it! Commander Circuit is armed with several different types of attacks, but most of them are range-based. Let's start by talking about his range-based attacks. The first he can use is a barrage of projectiles that he'll fire from both of his eyes. He'll either fire them in an upward motion or a downward motion. Which motion he chooses is completely random from what I can tell. Because there's no telling which motion he's going to choose, if you know he's going to use this move, it is always best to hide underneath his hands. His second ranged attack is firing a laser from his right eye that will travel along the ground. This will leave behind a shockwave that can only be avoided if you either jump off of the wall or use the double jump. His last ranged attack is that he'll occasionally call in a mine that will detonate at your current location. When it detonates, it's going to shoot projectiles in every direction. If you're on the ground when it detonates, you can easily dodge these projectiles by sliding. Once Phase 2 has been initiated, Commander Circuit is going to start protecting himself with a shield similar to the one he used on Colonel. He will not take any damage as long as the shield is up, and it takes a total of 5 hits to bring it down. It only stays down for a couple of seconds too. If you're using Air Jumper, the best way to take down his shield quickly is to jump off of one of his hands and then go for a quadruple aerial kick, which you can only do if you have Air Jumper equipped. The number of mines he summons during Phase 2 is doubled from 1 to 2. On top of that, when it comes to his projectile barrage attack, he now fires in both motions at the same time. Because of this, it's even more important to hide underneath his hand so that way you can be ready to avoid this attack, because otherwise your only hope is going to be Dodge Slider. And finally, the last 2 attacks in his arsenal are that he'll either try to crush you with his hands, which will generate a shockwave that you can jump over, or if you spend too much time up in his face, he'll pull his hands close and generate a shockwave that will slam you into a wall. Commander Circuit is the only boss in the game to have a 3rd layer to his health bar, which like Nega gives him a 3rd phase. During Phase 3, he's going to immediately use Virus Command, which will allow him to constantly spawn in enemies to back him up now that he's lost the use of his hands. Because of this reason, he is now only limited to having 2 attacks that he can use on you himself. The first is that he will still fire a laser from his right eye that will leave behind that large shockwave. The second is that he's still going to be firing a barrage of projectiles, but this time instead of firing them all over the place, he's going to be targeting your exact location. He's also still going to have that force field that's going to keep him completely protected from damage. However, all of the enemies he's summoning may be helping him out, but it's also a double-edged sword because we can take these guys out and toss them at him. Chucking a defeated enemy at him will immediately bypass his shield and deal 1 unit of damage. On top of that, if you chuck another enemy at him while his shield is down, he will take double damage, that being 2 units of health. If damaging him like this is a little too slow for your liking, something else you can do to speed things up a bit is hit him twice with your hookshot for an additional unit of damage, but you can only do this while his shield is down. It will also most likely trigger his invincibility frames. Using burst skills on him like current arc will also trigger his invincibility frames, but will bypass his shield and deal some damage.
Incomprehensible. It can't end like this. All I wanted was to fly through space once again. Those bright stars, beautiful nebulae, marvelous comets. With my mind and body stuck to the orc, stargazing was all I had. Masters, forgive us.
And with that, not only has Colonel been avenged, but the virus army conflict has finally been brought to an end, for good.
Ah, so that's what he wanted. It is true what he said about the 9 of us. We were tired of shaping planets to please our masters. Truthfully, I don't know who they were, or if they are still out there, watching us. But the bots that we left behind on each planet, they were each a unique individual, with their own hopes and dreams. We didn't know how they developed those traits, but leaving each and every one of them behind was incredibly cruel. For all I know, they all might have rusted all over and crumbled to dust. It was like we betrayed their trust. Time and time again. And to what end? To please some masters we never knew? We tried to take some of them aboard the Ark one time, but their bodies could not withstand hyper lightspeed travel. Us circuits can be given new bodies so long as the circuit remains. But the common bots were not so lucky. Once they are gone, they are gone. So you chose to stay. Yes, I was tired of our mission, but it was the others who decided to bury Commander Circuit here. Before I could say anything, the deed was already done. I was ashamed, scared to face him after having considered him a friend. If I had done something, then perhaps things could have turned out differently. So, what now? The other circuits may eventually need new hosts, but I think we can figure that out another time. They are safe in the Ark. However, someone's going to have to take Commander Circuit's place. If there isn't someone to wield his circuit, those bots out there will deactivate. Wait, are you going to... sacrifice myself for the greater good? I suppose I will. Consider it a just punishment for what I have done. This whole mess is in part my fault, after all. Will you be all right? Oh, I'm several millennia old, remember? I think I can last a little while longer. Wait, Nega. What about your gravity circuit? It should rightfully belong to you, right? Oh, that old thing? You might have originally been a common bot, but you've earned it, Kai. It's yours. Nega. Heh. Don't get all sentimental on me now. Now go. I'm sure the others are waiting for their hero's safe return.
Farewell, Nega. You were truly a great character. I gotta say, I love how they subverted the trope of him looking like your typical cloaked villain when in actuality, he was a hero in disguise. Master Kai, sir! You did it! You stopped this monstrously huge thing! From, whatever bad thing it was trying to do. And not only that, the virus army soldiers have all stopped! We were all really worried, but you saved us once again! You're a real hero, Master Kai, sir.
Master, huh? Should I tell them everything, Nega? Should they know? Masters, circuits, the mission Commander spoke of? My identity? Or what happened to Colonel?
Master Kai? Sir?
Pat, listen. The truth about who I am is
that he is the Gravity Circuit. And thus ends a truly amazing game. If you've been with me on this playthrough since the beginning, since episode 1, I just want to say thank you for joining me on this. This game it incorporates the best aspects out of pretty much every mainline Mega Man game. Classic, X, Zero, ZX, and it just rolls them all into one beautiful package, and I love it. Oh, I love it so much. If you have not bought this game yet, please do yourself a favor and buy it. Playing it for yourself and watching a playthrough are two completely different experiences, I assure you. But back to my thank yous. I do want to say again, thank you for joining me on this playthrough. I've been meaning to return to Let's Plays for like 2.5, 3 years, but just never got around to it due to either struggles with motivation or I'm just like, what game do I play? I just didn't know what to play. And then after finishing probably my second or third playthrough on this game, I was just like, this is it. And now here we are. So once again, thank you for joining me on this. I did jump into this playthrough with no plan or preparation or anything. I basically just loaded up OBS and hit record, and then started editing later. So my commentary might have been a little rough towards the start, but I'd like to think it got better with time. I hope it did. You guys can let me know though, I guess. If you enjoyed this playthrough, well, look forward to others. For instance, this game kind of reawoke a sort of itch within me for the Mega Man series, which I am a huge fan of. So if you're interested in checking out the series that this game primarily takes inspiration from, then consider subscribing and keeping an eye on the channel, because those playthroughs as well as a plethora of others will be coming. I plan on playing just whatever the heck I feel like, so if that's something you're interested in, keep an eye on the channel. But until then, we're not quite done with Gravity Circuit just yet, because I plan on making a bonus video to show off a ton of miscellaneous things that just didn't make it into the main playthrough, like alternative dialogue that could have been triggered if we had done a few things differently, or Nega and Commander Circuit on hard mode, and a few other things that I just can't think of at the moment. I plan on taking my time putting that video together, so it won't come out right away, but I promise you it won't take 5.5 years. It will be here soonish. So before wrapping things up here, your rewards for clearing the game are that you can restart your file on New Game Plus, and if you've cleared the game for the first time, you also unlock something called Circuit Mode. I'll be showing off what these are in the bonus video. For now though, let's grab our final 2 data chips and check out our fully completed research compendium. So as we talk to Alf here, we're just going to skip right through his dialogue and get our final data chips. So here's Colonel, may he rest in peace, and Commander Circuit, the source of the virus army, the true evil. And then the final 2 are Kai. Wait a minute, that's us. And Nameless. This is what Kai looked like before he became the Gravity Circuit. And there you have it. That is every data chip in the game. If I didn't already have the achievement for having gotten them all on my personal file, I would have gotten it right here. So now that we've gotten all of that taken care of, that's gonna be a wrap. So, I am Agent Soundwave, this has been Gravity Circuit, and besides the bonus video, I will see you in whatever I decide to do next. Until then, take care.